Happy Wednesday. How's it going, y'all? It's Wednesday. I got some game dev to do here. How's everyone doing? Let the song reach a pausing point here. Drop it off. Let me start up all the programs that we want. Hey, DIGITAL, or if I may use your full name, Digital Shenanigans. How's it going? I got a couple things we can do today. I did a little of it last night. I worked on both the the fixed frame animations, the fixed door frame animation for the triple door, and I worked on the adding the door code a little bit. Hey, Ryson, how's it going? How are you doing today? Welcome back. Appreciate all the stuff you've been posting in the Discord. Because I'm constantly reminded my workflow is trash. And I need to improve it. So I set up the new tile map layer stuff for the door layer. For at least determining the hull type and the door type. I ran into a hilarious thing with C# that I can't believe is exactly how this works. This is insane. Watch this. Watch if I take the parentheses out of this bitwise comparison. Oh, now it works. Yesterday it was complaining that this was an ambiguous call. It wouldn't stop bothering me about it. It was like, I don't know. Are you sure you want to do the bitwise operation or the equivalency check first? I'm like, you should put the parentheses here. And I was like, I'm pretty sure I shouldn't. Oh yeah, here, watch. Now that I moved to a new line, now it's complaining about it. Yeah, it wants to do the equivalency before the bitwise operator. Is that really the priority? Like the inherent built-in priority? That's kind of insane to me. So whatever, I guess we're adding the parentheses back. What if I flip the order? Because I feel like I've done this. I guess if I flip the order, it would be even worse, huh? So weird. Super weird that that's how that works. Just a writer linter setting, maybe? Yeah, I mean, must be. It's not how GDScript works. It's definitely not how C# in general works, as far as I know. But I don't really care enough to do anything about it at the moment. Just kind of a quirk. But anyway, this system goes through and does a bunch of bitwise operations to figure out both what kind of door it is, like are we a single door or a double door or a triple door eventually, and like what our door axis is. I made a new version of the axis enum that's a flag called axes, so you can have more than one. Might switch over to using just that system, I'm not sure, instead of having the separate axis enum. I changed some stuff about our door object, but I generally got this part working as far as I can tell. But it doesn't do anything by itself. We need to add the next step, which is setting the actual tile stuff, like the source ID, the atlas coords, and the alt tile ID. We got to do that. So we'll do that today. We're also probably going to continue working at the risk of being ridiculed for my A-Sprite workflow. We're going to keep working on swapping over to this fixed outline. You can see I did the top one here, but the bottom and the left top door frame is still moving. So we need to fix those. And in the future, I'm going to like set up a separate door frame and then animate underneath it. But like I've already done all of this, so I kind of just want to fix it the straightforward way. Then the next thing I need to do, which I might not do on stream because it's tedious, is I need to split this door up into 3 pieces. I've already split it up into 2 pieces, but I need to split it up into 3 pieces so that we can have each part, because each tile is going to need its part of the door for Z indexing purposes. So I don't know. We'll probably do some of that today. I've also been spending a lot of time reading about and watching videos on turn-based tactics games. I'm gonna post some of it in the Discord because some of it's pretty interesting. But I want to do maybe later this week. I want to do a big like Obsidian like canvas board and like start putting together our thoughts around what this game will look like turn-based. So, because there was a bunch of stuff that came up in even just the 2 videos that I watched that I hadn't thought about, like how are the turns all of your team moves and then all of the enemy team moves, or is it a timeline? And like, I think I'm gonna go with a timeline. And then the question is like, what's populated in the timeline? And I've got some ideas for that. Like, I think your characters will be in the timeline. And unless you're zoomed in and you can see into the other ship, or like if there's an enemy crew member boarding your ship, I think the enemy timeline slots will just be an icon of the enemy ship, unless you can see which crew member it's referring to, in which case it'll be an outline of, or an icon of the actual crew member in the timeline. And so I gotta think about implementing stuff like that I haven't really, because we're still kind of relatively new to thinking about this as a turn-based game. I haven't really put a lot of thought into yet. So we need to do the atlas coords, the source ID, the atlas coords, and the alt tile ID for the doors. So we need to copy over the GD script portion. We just adapted this whole section. Oops. We just adapted the get tile IDs stuff, this section. And now I need to adapt this stuff. Get source ID, get atlas coords, get alt tiles. I don't know if I've even set up the alt tiles for the doors. Have I done that? But yeah, if anyone knows any awesome resources for like turn-based tactics games, like videos they remember or stuff, I've already watched a couple, so I'm gonna start posting about the ones that I've seen. I might even make a channel in the Discord dedicated to this. I don't know. I'm kind of against overloading the Discord with channels, because the Discord isn't like so busy that we're like losing stuff because like so many people are posting about it. And until that becomes the case, I kind of want to have a minimal number of channels. All right, hull default.tres. So this is our current tile set. And so I have doors here. Okay, no, I have set up the alt tiles for the doors. Cool. We've set up the single and the double. Like I said, I need to cut up the triple door before we can use the triple door. So we're not going to do any triple door stuff yet. But we'll at least have the double and single door implemented. And then adding in the triple door should be relatively easy. Nanigans. Yeah, sounds great. Game you're working on, the idea is a timeline base on a unit reaction speed, somewhat similar to how initiative works in D&D. Yeah, I'm not sure how I want to set that up as far as having initiative. I mean, I'll probably end up having like character. Um, I'm not going to have any RNG. Ryson like a resources channel. Yeah, maybe because that is something we share a lot. Maybe like a helpful resources channel or like a dev resources channel or something like that. I think that could be cool. Because now they're getting posted, randomly, like in general chat or off topic chat or whatever. So yeah, maybe I'll set something up like that today. I don't know. That sounds worth it. I don't know if I want to set up a separate like design discussion channel because like right now, if we're discussing the design of this game, that might as well just go in general chat. Unless I feel like it's hard to like refer back into and index that stuff, and in which case I'll move it around. We'll see. But yeah, I'm trying to take a less is more approach in terms of channel or organization. All right, so we need to set up this case. I kind of hate copying over GD script code and then working on it, but I also don't like tabbing or going back and forth. So what I should probably do is just open the GD script as a tab here. So we want to open environment, hull stack, deck level, hull layer. Wow, I went kind of overboard with the nesting here. Door layer.gd. Yeah, I'm just going to look at this here. This is the best way to do this. So we already did this one. Now we're going to do this. Well, we need to do this part first. So the source ID is 13 if door tiles dot type is door type dot double else 12. I'm probably going to do this as a switch case. So we can say source ID. Oh shoot, this is iterating through the hulls, isn't it? Uh, this is not going to be the same. This needs to be a separate, oh, this isn't great. This needs to be a separate thing. Oh, but this is both in, I might not have thought this through very clearly because this is both in hulls and in doors because we need the separate doors data. Maybe we iterate through hulls and then we pull in the door data because the key is identical. That's probably fine actually. So we can do that as part of this. So we can say variable door tile equals doors key key. Yeah, a dedicated resources section, so it's easy to reference and find. Sounds great, but don't think you need to segment various discussion channels even more with the current side of the community. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, resources channel is good. I'll set that up. That sounds good. And posting a resource has the tendency to like potentially start a discussion around it too, so I think that's good. So the resource is often a catalyst for the discussion anyway. Pretty good. But that's awesome. Since we're both working on kind of a timeline-based, turn-based game, it'll be cool. We'll be able to swap stories on that and thoughts. I'm trying to just absorb materials right now because I actually haven't played a lot of turn-based tactics games recently. I mean, I always play a bit of Into the Breach, but the last one I really liked, like really enjoyed before, maybe around when Into the Breach came out, was like I think Invisible Ink. I loved Invisible Ink. I'm not even sure if I actually beat Invisible Ink, but I adore that game. I actually need to go back through and play it. I can probably play it on the Steam Deck now. But yeah, I adore Invisible Ink. I need to try some other ones. I put Tactical Breach Wizards on my Steam wish list. And I heard of a new one that came out or is coming out. I forgot what it's called. It's like the Scandinavian one. It's like a Death Hollow or something like that. That one also sounds really good. Yeah, I want to play Invisible Ink again. I want to play Tactical Breach Wizards. I have Rogue Trader. I might actually start Rogue Trader tonight. I want to play Rogue Trader. That I don't want to play on the Steam Deck. I want to play that on a PC. All right, so source ID. We're going to do a switch case. So we'll say switch door tile dot what did I call this? Form. We're gonna say case door dot form dot single. I actually need an invalid case. I don't have that yet, but I kind of need an invalid door case. I guess what we should do is there's a difference. I just need like a magenta cube or something for like an invalid door. I need to make a sprite for an invalid block. Like a block that can't exist. Right now we'll just have door single and double. And eventually we'll have a triple. We'll add the triple in here, which is why it's just not just an if else. I could have a default, and the default could be the invalid one. The majority of stuff you tend to play these last few years are tactical or turn-based in some capacity. Cool. Yeah, I'd be curious. A lot of the resources I see are more based around like XCOM style games, which is like not the kind of turn-based tactical game I'm thinking of, obviously, but there's plenty of lessons to be learned from an XCOM style game for sure. Because XCOM Enemy Unknown is like huge. I have a buddy that still plays that game. That game is so brutal because you'll put like 60 hours into a run or something like that and then just wipe. It's almost like playing Darkest Dungeons or something, where you can put all of this time in and just put yourself in like a deeply unwinnable position. And it like does not respect your time. I guess Darkest Dungeon doesn't really qualify as a turn-based tactics game in like the traditional sense, because like movement isn't important, although ordering is important, like as far as positioning within the attack order. So yeah, I guess Darkest Dungeon's good. I haven't played the second one. I've been meaning to. I think I own it. But yeah, I need to just absorb as much turn-based tactics stuff, because like I've played some, but I've never played it while trying to absorb the design lessons from it, which I think gives you a very different context to it than you would otherwise have. I'm also breaking a bunch of the common uh, points of common wisdom about turn-based tactics, which is like don't hide any information, as in like make everything visible at all times. We're not doing that because of our like stack deck system, but I think it'll be okay as long as we de-emphasize like as long as we make the turns more casual and like easier to pass through and like less intense. Just as far as like more turns are happening more often and like there's less decision making going on each turn. You're more like just like, okay, what do I need to do next? What do I need to do next? And I think a timeline system is good for that. All right, so 13, 12, else 12. 13 for a double, 12 for a single. Okay. Source ID equals 12. Source ID equals 13. I guess I can add the case for the triple. I don't support it yet, but what do you want from me? Convert to switch expression. Oh, I kind of do like these switch expressions. This is nice. Source ID equals door to... Oh, interesting. Yeah, I like this. I like these switch expressions. Door tile.form switch. This is nice. This is nice and compact. So that's the source ID. Next, we need to do the atlas chords. Scott Hopkins, welcome in. You got 2 attached to characters, so it was a tough game for you. Oh, like XCOM? Yeah, I feel that. Or maybe Darkest Dungeon. Or I don't know. You could be referring to a few different games. But yeah, there's games with permanent death like that that are pretty hardcore and require a huge investment and like, I mean, it's important that like death or serious setbacks are like very close by, close at hand. Like it doesn't take much to send you over the edge. That's like important in these kinds of games. Like FTL is great because you can be just having an easy time. Darkest Dungeon, you meant? Yeah, fair. Um, yeah, because you end up building teams, right? You end up building like, here's my A team, here's my B team. Like I'd have teams that were specialized for like high brightness, like for high light environments, and teams specialized for like low light environments. I had different teams that were specialized for different things, and like yeah, you get attached to those, and you have like first stringers and second stringers and stuff. Like yeah, that was fun, but yeah, that game really doesn't respect your time. And the devs have famously said that this game does not respect your time. um, yeah, I don't remember what I was saying before that. I was trying to make a point and I distracted myself. Um, yeah. I'm gonna try to avoid making it so you get too attached to characters in this. Maybe I don't know. I don't know how red shirt I want everyone to be, as far as like how expendable I want the characters to be. I don't want them to be that expendable, considering how I'm planning out the narrative of the game. I want them to be most of them to be fairly main character, which is fair because at the moment our game board is pretty small. I'm still torn about making it bigger. But as long as it stays small like this, you'll probably have a fairly small crew, and they'll probably all be fairly crucial. But you definitely want some turnover. All right, so Atlas Core is a 0. Door tile. If door tile is invalid, we pass. Okay. I need to do something else here eventually, but we can say, for now, we can say, well, we can do this initially here. We can just go like, right now, we're just going to have an if door tile dot form is invalid, form dot invalid. We just continue. You can add a to do swap in an invalid block sprite, an invalid block tile in this case. Okay. All right, door tile is door.single if hull, if the hull is inner. Oh, I call this the hull layer. That's smart but confusing. Um, so if it's a single door and you're an inner, you up the X chords +1. All right, if door tile is a double, then we do some calculations. Oh, because you need to know whether you're the upper or lower door. And we need to know whether you're an X-axis or a Y-axis door. Okay. And then here we're just doing the inner outer. So we could do this first. So we do this for either case. So if you're an inner door, we up your X coordinate by 1. Okay. We can say atlas coords equals, we can say hull dot, or we can say hull is equal to hull dot inner. Hull is equal to hull dot inner. Then we say atlas coords with. Wow, it knew. How did it know what I wanted to do here? Huh. Smart. And I guess I have it written in this, essentially. I keep tabbing back to Godot to read the code, and I forget that I have it right here. Nanigans. A route you're going down will likely have you ending up with specific combinations of equipment for characters that will likely be different every run, so loss will likely feel significant. You want progression to matter and add to the following runs. Still fleshing out exactly what that looks like. Yeah, it's tough. As soon as you put the roguelike category in, or even a roguelite, there's a question of how much progression should be. To what extent is the player progressing by, increasing their skill and stuff, and to what extent is like are you progressing in the game, like in terms of gaining power? Like, are you gaining power because you're gaining knowledge, or are you gaining power because you're gaining like artifacts or stats or something like that? In terms of like meta progression between runs. And obviously, I think you need a balance nowadays. I think most people don't want a hard roguelike. The only thing carries over from run to run is your knowledge. But I think also people don't like the oh, well, you'll just auto win this if you do 20 runs. Like your power level will be so stacked after like 20 runs that you'll just win. Like, and yeah, I guess RNG is an important part about that. And that's a distinction I'm going to try to make with this game is input randomness is fine. Like it's fine if you enter a scenario and a bunch of random parameters have given you a certain kind of challenge that you need to get out of. But I want 0 output parameter or output randomness in this game. I want an into the breach style, like you know exactly what's going to happen on your turn. You know exactly the intent of the enemies that you can see on their turn. And they might not be able to achieve their intent because you might change the status of the game board before it's their turn, but you need to know exactly what's going to happen, and you need to know the outcome of your decisions exactly. Like, there can't be this, like, you have a 75% chance to hit. Where does Outer Wilds land on that? Mostly knowledge, you think? I think Outer Wilds, while not being, I guess in a way, Outer Wilds is a roguelike. I don't think of it that way, because there's no real... I guess it is, though, because there's a time loop, isn't there? Yeah, I would say Outer Wilds is 100% based on player knowledge. Although it's not exactly, because they record everything that you've learned, right? In that one menu. So you record all of your Ryzen perfect information game. No, because you might not know everything, right? Like you, unless your sensors are up, you might not know the position of like the enemy crew on board their ship, but you will know what the enemy ship is trying to do next. Like you might not know. Yeah. Um, no, I think you're right, Scott. As far as it being mostly the thing, I'm thinking about like evasion. So like in FTL, you have like a 5% chance or a 10% chance or a 20% chance to evade, depending on, how good your pilot is and whether you even have a pilot in the cockpit at all or you have the autopilot on. And instead of doing that, I think I want something different. I want like, because there's going to be ship turning and maneuvering in like a very abstract sense. And I want something else. I want, instead of saying like, oh, the pilot is taking an evasive maneuver, you have a 50% chance to miss, for enemy shots to miss over the next turn or something like that. I would like I would like something else. I would like it to say like, if the pilot takes an evasive maneuver, the next X number of hits miss. And X can be whatever based on like the skill of the pilot or the amount of power that they have to engines or like the maneuverability of the ship. But I want it to be constant. I want to be like, okay, the shields are down on the left side. I don't have enough time to turn. So instead of telling the pilot to turn to bring a different side of the ship in front of the enemy, maybe I'll say, pilot, take evasive maneuvers. And evasive maneuvers will say, the next 2 hits on this ship miss. Like, then you can be like, you can look at the timeline and be like, okay, this ship is going to fire at me. This ship is maneuvering. Like, okay, I think I can last long enough to get to the next turn and maybe even execute a turn before they fire on me again or something like that. Or buy me enough time to bring the shields back up. So like I want everything to be exact. Like I want you to know what's going to happen when as the result of your decisions. I think that's crucial. And that is definitely one of my design pillars. Is like the outcome of actions are known. None of this randomness, none of this chance. Hey, Theron Keen, how's it going? How are you doing today? And I think that puts me very much in line with like Into the Breach and stuff like that, and very much out of line with like the common like XCOM style games. Makes it more of a board game, but without dice rolls. So there's no dice rolls, right? For output randomness. Like there is no output randomness. There's input randomness because like you don't know what kind of situation you're going to jump into. Theron, you're doing. Oh, my coffee is like at that lukewarm temperature where it's like you kind of want to keep drinking it, but it's like not pleasant. I was tired this morning, so I went out and I got like a big coffee with a breakfast bagel. So I'm a little caffeinated up, if that's why it sounds like I'm kind of motor mouthing a little bit. I usually don't drink a lot of caffeine in the morning because I don't need it. I'm like a morning person normally, but I was just tired this morning. So we'll see how long this energy lasts. We'll see how long this energy level lasts. We don't really know. Chug, chug, chug. Yeah. How's it going, Theron? How's your animations going? I did some animating last night myself. Nothing exciting, but it was nice to be doing stuff in A-Sprite again. Okay, I should move on. So we increment the Atlas coords by one x specifically by 1. If it's an inner hull. We're gonna need to change this too because if it's a middle hull, that's also invalid. We need to do something like we need to do a check above to be like, are you a middle hull door? Oh well, you can't exist. We don't allow for you to exist. And that prevents people from like stacking doors. Like I don't want people to have like, here's a door, here's another door right behind it. You got to get through two doors. It's like, no, just make it a bigger door if you want to make it imposing. Or potentially a thicker door. We could potentially allow a thicker door at some point, like a double thickness door. That could be pretty cool, actually. That would be like our big blast door. Like that you could have as like a main cargo bay door or something like that. Theron, you got to make hay while the sun shines, aka write code before the jitters set in. Yeah, exactly. You're not too happy with your pixel art. You're not very motivated to spend more time on it. Yeah, I think your pixel art is amazing. I think you have like the problem is the style that you've aimed for is like ambitious, right? You found some beautiful sprites that are captures from a 3D model and fit the classic Diablo vibe better. That's a good choice. That's a good choice. I think it's very reasonable to take like the Dead Cells route and just like turn 3D assets into 2D ones. I think Blockbench is really cool. Obviously, you aren't going to get pixel art out of it, but I really want to do more with that tool. I'm a little hesitant to like try to learn that tool during like a game jam or something, but I don't think it's going to come up otherwise, so I'm like keeping it in the back of my mind. You're trying to pick a solution for how to make your cow enemies look nice. Either model a cow yourself, buy a cow and animate it yourself, or pay someone a Fiverr to someone on Fiverr to animate it in screen cap to make sprites. Screen cap. You're gonna go like full like Andy Serkis. All right. So that's our X modifier is here. It's duplicated down here, so we don't have to do it again. So now we just do the switch. So the case of a single door, we don't... Oh, we need to know if a door has been flipped. Shoot. How do we tell if a door has been flipped? Uh, I guess a door needs a face. Similarly, the way a block has a face. Let's not worry about that right now. But that's definitely on the list of things we need to figure out. Let's just get the doors down, and then we can worry about flipping them. For this, it's because if they have this kind of a slope, and then you turn the camera around 180 degrees, you'll see this on the other side, right? So we potentially need to flip the door. This is actually one of the only door flips that I think actually turned out really well. The other ones are a little weirder. But it's a little different because, like, you can see this is a straight line, and then on the other side, there's a little curve to it. That was the best I could do. What do we need the absolute coordinates for? We get them and then we don't use them. Okay, cool. Tight. Sorry, you just mean export stills and compress them down to pixelized solution resolutions? Oh, I see. You think you're just going to work on your ability system for the rest of the day and give it a day or two to decide on a solution? I think that's a great idea. I'm always changing what I'm doing based on whether I feel like I am up to or inspired to tackle the thing. You never knew about Dead Cells? Yeah, they have an interesting approach to their art. I think at scale, that's way cheaper than doing pixel art, doing 3D modeling and animating. I mean, it depends on the skill set that you have available to you. But in a commercial environment, it's probably way cheaper to do that. Because, you only have to do the animations and the modeling once, and then you can, rotate them around and recapture them from different angles. Whereas pixel art, you would need to reanimate and redraw every single viewing angle. Uh, Nanigans, that's gonna be the hard part for you is doing the art and the sound. You're pretty decent at UI design, not so much illustration or pixel art. You can do technical 3D modeling in CAD software, but nothing particularly complex or organic. Be a learning curve, whichever path you go down. The fact you're doing mech based helps. Oh yeah, I think it looks great, especially when you consider how far zoomed out you'll see it. Hmm. Yeah, I think you'd benefit from Blockbench as well, because Blockbench, from what I've seen, seems very capable for flat or what's the right word? Hard edge, sharp and hard edged things. It seems a lot harder to do rounded or organic stuff. But if you're doing mechs and you're mostly doing like artificial structures, those are mostly hard edged anyway. I think you could benefit a lot from like a Blockbench approach. Sound, I don't know. I'm excited to take on sound, but I have all of my sound experience is like analog music production. It's not like digital stuff, so that's definitely going to be a learning process for me. So what are we doing here? So if we're a double door, we check our door axis. So we have an if else for the door axis, but what's the difference? Okay, we plug in a different op block. That makes sense. Otherwise, it is the same. Okay, so we'll have an if door tile dot axis axes and axes dot x. I'm actually really happy with the axes flag I set up yesterday. It's complaining again. This is insane to me that it doesn't consider this the correct order of operations. Theron, you're saying you have Blockbench experience, and you're saying hard surface would be even easier in Blockbench, and it has a plugin for actual materials rather than just a texture on a UV map. If they're interested in that, ooh, I didn't know that. I thought you had to hand paint the textures, but it makes sense that you could use a material system instead. But yeah, nanigans. Zooming stuff out, I always have to remind myself the scale at which this stuff is going to be observed. When I get obsessed with like tiny little pixel differences, and I'm like, wait, hold on, what does it look like at like zoomed out 4 times? Like, what does it look like when it takes like less than a tenth of the screen? All right, so we have our x or y, and then we define. So if our axis is x, we are interested in checking our y neighbors. All right, fair enough. Have I done that somewhere else that I can just pull? Yeah, this. But doink. Do this again. I don't know why I'm doing this. Relative position. Our relative position is just key dot x y z. 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 I don't totally why we need to do this check now. I guess it's just we could have done it earlier, but we didn't. Okay, so if our positive y is a block comp dot door, so we want to say, oops, we want to say, or can I do this in the opposite order? We change the X for this? Really? When do we change the Y? This is wrong. We're changing X in 2 places and then not changing the Y at all, it looks like. This can't be right. Oh, it is because flipped. The Y is for the flipped, right? Yes. Let's look at the double door. Okay. So yeah, lower is 0, upper is... but that's flipped here. Okay, this is... I'm gonna need to rethink this when we handle the door flip, but we don't need to do that yet. So far, this is our first block that has a different position or has a different image based on what angle the camera's at, and that's something we need to support widely, so we'll need a general solution for this anyway. Do I need to store this? Can I just check it once? I definitely need to get rid of this contains check. Nanigans, you think you played with Blockbench back when it first came out? Looks like it's come a long way. We'll certainly consider it. Yeah, I am not from. I am only recently learned about it, but it seems quite good nowadays. I understand it was originally made to just like be the editor tool for like Minecraft, I think, for like Minecraft models, but it seems to have wildly expanded beyond that. Should I just have a single switch for single, double, triple, and then handle this in there? I probably should. So I'm just doing another check here. So we shouldn't do it this way. We should do like switch door tile dot form, and then we should say case door dot form dot single. We can say source ID equals 12. Then we can do this whole branch. No, we would just say this. Actually, we do this for everyone, right? So we can do that actually outside this. Although, I don't know. Maybe it's easier to just do it like this. Single door, let's go. Yeah, it was originally created by some Minecraft modders, you believe? Wow. Yeah, that's cool. Power of modders. This is why we're designing our tools to be accessible from the get-go, because I just need to like make something that's engaging that people want to engage with and make stuff for and experience. Basically like a Star Trek episode, like an episodic Star Trek narrative device, essentially. Like just a game that has this loose narrative structure that you can just have these adventures and stuff with some overarching structure. And I feel like the modders will just do all sorts of things for me. And that's how you get something with legs. That's how you get something that's still finding new people like years after it's been released. Theron, you're saying your dream game is a Diablo style action RPG, and like that's about as far as you've gotten with the idea. It's a 10-year plan, lol. You're strongly considering making the characters mechas animated with Blockbench. I think that'd be cool. I think people love mechas. And mechas are definitely, there's a certain kind of person I think that has a much easier time designing a mech. Like that would be me. I would have a much easier time with inorganic stuff. My saving grace is that my characters are so small I don't have to worry about like a lot of the animation problems, but yeah, it'd be cool. It'd be cool to do mech stuff. So if you're a door, so if the negative y is a door, your part is upper. So we can say, oops. So we can say for a double door, so we need this whole thing. So what's this? If negative y is a door, so we want to say if negative y dot has block dot forms dot door. Then we just set the door, or just the lower door, right? We just say, wait, why are we setting this here? Why are we setting our door tile part here? Where are we reading this? Where are we storing this information? Is there a reason we have this information? It looks like we just have it and then we don't use it at all. Okay. Because I mean, I can say door tile equals door tile with door dot, what would be door dot div. Excuse me. Why do you feel like you can't use door? Using it right here, door dot tile. Is it not in there? Nanigans, you're architecting the content in your game so that all the core content is in JSON and other standard formats and is essentially a self-contained mod. I want to do that. I definitely want to do it that way. I love that way, where like the game is essentially just the default mod. I might not be able to achieve that fully depending on how, like I'm not going to have a scripting language accessible with this game because there's an ECS and stuff and the components need to be pre-registered, but like, so I can't really, I don't think I can support novel mechanics, but I do want to make it, I do want to make the content exchangeable. Nanigans should make it super simple for people to tweak and make their own mods or even build simple tools. Yeah, that'd be so cool. Nanigans was one of the few, that was one of the a few reasons you decided you didn't want to go with Godot or Unity, as you would have been fighting against the engine too much. Yeah, I get that. I get that. I don't think it's that bad with Godot, honestly, because everything is just a text resource. Sometimes it's a little convoluted to read and write, but like, I think Godot is pretty good at that. I don't Unity. I would understand the hesitancy with Unity for that. I think door. Oh, it's div. Div equals door dot div dot lower. Yeah, so I can set this. I don't know why I'd be setting this. Don't understand. Else if positive y has block dot door, door tile equals door tile with div dot upper. And then not only that, but like we change our atlas chords. plus 2. Else. Now here's the part where we just have an error, where we throw an error. We can say throw new exception. Hey, still needs work. Good morning. Thrawn Keen, you're scared off Unity basically forever because of the corporate bullshit. You don't really have interest in very high fidelity games, so Godot felt a natural choice. Yeah, I mean, if you're doing 2D, I actually think Godot's fidelity is higher than Unity. Although the particle system makes you want to gouge your eyes and gouge out your eyes. Oh, really? I think it's confusing, but I think it's quite good. So fair. How am I doing today? I'm doing pretty good. I'm a little tired, but we got caffeine in our system, so we're cruising right now. How are you? How's university going? Thrawn Keen, high fidelity as in stuff you would need Unreal for. Okay. Yeah. Yay for caffeine. You as well. Nice. That's what it takes. So we're gonna say uh, door cannot. We're gonna say door dot form. We're gonna say door tile dot. Actually, we can say door. Door tile dot cannot find its companion doors. Door tile at uh key dot xyz. And then alt tile, we need to set the alt tile. Speaking of classes, getting a lurk for now. You'll be able to more attend classes. Yeah, no worries. Have a good lurk. Catch you later. Appreciate hanging out. So the positive y is the only one that increments the atlas coords. We do the same thing for y. Okay, so we're going to say elif. If it's not x or y, we're going to have an issue. Oops. Oh, atlas. Alternative. So alternative tile is 1 if the axis is y, otherwise 0. So we're going to say alternative. What is it called? Alt tile. Alt tile ID equals 0. Else if door tile dot axes and axes dot y. So for y, we'll do basically all of this, but the other version of it. So we'll go grab the x version of this. Grab these boys. Relative position is still just key.xyz. Then we're going to do this, but for the other values. It's probably different here. So here, if you're the positive, oh no, it's still the same. So all of that is good. Else, we're gonna throw an error, throw new exception. Said door tile at key.xyz appears to be in an invalid state. Break. Wait. Why is this in like so thoroughly? Oh God. Why are we so thoroughly? Oh no, I get it. Yeah. All right. Can this be turned into a switch expression? No. I guess you can only do switch expressions with an assignment. It's fine. Get rid of this. Hold on. Oh, we're in like a nested, right, we're in a nested switch statement, which I don't love, but it's kind of where we're at. Oh, so we need an outer break statement. Danny, you don't know anything about Godot, but you played FTL like 3 times. Hey, how's it going? And League of Lego Boy 99, Digital Iliad, what's your experience? So far, pretty great. We picked up Godot about a year and a half ago. We've done some game jams in it. Before that, I was a Unity hobbyist for about 15 years. Right now, we're working on an FTL-like, that's an isometric 3D take on it, turn-based. So it's kind of like FTL by way of Into the Breach is kind of what we're doing. It's going to be turn-based. It's going to be a lot of the same design principles as Into the Breach. It's kind of the mashup we're going for. So kind of just a subset games mashup here of their 2 games. We're doing all right with it. We're working on our tile editor, which is going to let us build out these levels. How are you both doing? How's everyone doing today? Welcome in. We're using C# for a simulation layer that I wrote. We're using GDScript for pretty much everything else, so you'll see us bouncing back and forth. We do everything ourselves. We're doing our own pixel art, our own sound, our own whatever. So you get to see every aspect of the game's development right here. So this should be the atlas. This should be all the tile data we need. Source ID, alt tile ID. Oh, I need to set here. I need to set alt tile ID to 1 equals 1. Key tiles key tile with source ID. Oh, this thing. We need to do this check as well. We don't need to do this in the switch statement, but I'm going to for now. Just because of our principle of like separating out the cases and loops fully without trying to do clever stuff. Here we can say alt tile ID equals 0. Although wait, that's not actually true. The single door, we actually do need to say, we need to say alt tile ID equals 1 equals, we can say door tile dot axes and axes dot x. We're going to say it's 1, otherwise it's going to be 0. Oh my god, with the parentheses. Danny, why Godot of all the engines you can use? You're interested in Godot because it's free. I consider Godot to be the preeminent 2D engine because Godot has this wonderful characteristic about it where, like, I don't know, let me open something random. It's 2D transformation system is such that everything is pixel perfect. So like if you move something up or down, I don't know. Let's see this. Let's see if this runs. Like every position, well, this is a terrible example because this is moving per tile, but everything is pixel perfect. So like moving up by one position in the environment is the same as moving up one pixel. So the rendering is pixel perfect, the physics are pixel perfect. You don't get that in Unity or Unreal Engine. Here's a little bit of our tile editor tool. So we're working on these 3D, we're going to be building these 3D ships. These are just blocks for representation. But this is our little tile space. So we're going to have these 3D stacks of decks instead of just the one top-down stack. It's very rudimentary at the moment, but you could imagine like interior walls and stuff. There's a complex auto tiling system determining what tiles get drawn based on neighboring tile data. How did this happen? So there's something weird happening a little bit sometimes. I don't know if we're accidentally releasing the keyboard or releasing the mouse and then clicking again. But sometimes we're laying down. I guess we should if we restrict the ability to draw walls as rects, we fix that issue. So I need to think about how to deal with that. Because yeah, if we just go down all of these, this should result in... Yeah, that's really peculiar why it's giving us these double thick walls on the upper decks. I'm kind of drawing a 3D region, so maybe I am just accidentally releasing the mouse and then clicking it again. What happens if we try to place a door? Some interesting stuff is happening. So it can recognize something about what we're doing, but it's not interesting. It's not placing the door for us. Oh, someone's got some cheap viewers for us. I'll show you what I got. What I got for your cheap viewers. Your name is insane, too. Yeah, take that. Get blasted. But yeah, we like Godot for the rendering and the UI stuff for a pixel art game. I think if you were making a 3D game, you could very easily consider other engines. But I don't know. I haven't... Caveat being I haven't used Game Maker. The only other 2D engine I might consider would be Game Maker. But yeah, I don't think you can do much better. At least for 2D. So what could be giving us problems? We're saving it in the tiles. We're rendering only, we're rendering a Z face. The hole does not have tile data. So what are we doing? So tile is a new tile. So we're making a new tile anytime we hit a hole. Oh, I'm not assigning the tile data. So what we need to do is we need to do this a little differently. We need to say, oh wait, no, I am assigning the tile data. We're saying tile keys equals tile with source ID, atlas chords, alt tile ID. Why the hell am I defining a tile in advance? Am I actually using this anywhere? Switch tile dot layer. Oh, well, couldn't we just say key dot W? Oh no, we wanna preserve the tile, the key data in the halls. Okay, that's fair. Yeah, Theron. Yeah. Ryson, you'd go Unreal Engine before Game Maker for 2D, or really go back to making your own engine with C++ and OpenGL. Maybe I don't understand Unreal's 2D support, but I presume they don't have like integral positions, like pixel perfect anything. I would presume it's just like Unity, where if you try to make a 2D game, you're basically making a constrained 3D game. Which, I mean, people have done it. And nowadays, if you're making a 2D game, there's usually some 3D element to it anyway. Like our 3D element is artificial in terms of like we're using layered tile maps to like create the illusion of 3D. But our gameplay data, to be fair, our simulation data is in 3D. It's just we're passing it to a constrained 2D rendering environment. So why is the tile information not making it? Let me make sure I got those source IDs correct. That would be a good first issue that I could easily have overlooked. No. So ID 12 is in fact the door single proxy. ID 13 is the double 32, the double door proxy. Okay, so that's not it. What else could we be doing? Tile.layers.door. Maybe I'm not setting this up correctly. So key. Let's double check the tool system. It's very possible that the tool system is not working. Oh, so a tool placement that is just a single frame does not do anything? That could be a problem. Nanigans C++ can be quite daunting for somebody who isn't an already competent programmer. Yeah, I would agree with that. I would say virtually no entry level game developers need to be using C++ for the game development. I mean, by that logic, though, no entry level, well, not entry level, almost virtually no games need an entity component system. And yet we made one, so need is not the defining factor, I think. Ryson, that wasn't a recommendation to anyone. You were wondering why Digital Iliad was writing off Unreal Engine. For 2D, I have very strong opinions about 2D game development in 3D engines. But to be fair, I haven't tried to make a 2D game in Unreal. I'm generalizing based on my understanding of 3D engines generally. So I don't believe Unreal Engine has anything unique to it in terms of 2D stuff, but I could be wrong. I could be very wrong. I wasn't judging your statement, Ryson. I was curious if you had like insight beyond what I knew as to why you would pick Unreal over Game Maker. Because I haven't really used either of those engines much. All right, so we're selecting our block tool. Yeah, we're gonna need to start using the face data to let us know about some stuff. I mean, I guess I should try to scrutinize the data depending on where I think the issue is appearing. We could be accidentally marking a door as invalid incorrectly and then not following up. But I thought the test case that I just used. Oh, we might even be having errors. I didn't check the debugger. Let's just do this on one layer and see what's going on. So we'll hollow this out. We'll try to place a door. So one thing that's interesting, oh no, I got to switch out from the eraser. So it can tell that it's there. Interesting how it does this when I try to place another one. Oh, the merge block system might not be correctly handling the door case, for one thing. We don't seem to be getting any bugs, which is interesting. Let's go double check the merge rules. Merge block. If the incoming form is a door, and if the existing one has a door, uh, should check block, bulk, or a door. Existing has any. Otherwise, we're just adding the incoming form to the existing form. So why is that? Why is that causing? Oh, we need has any, not has. But that still doesn't explain why this is happening. A little weird. Ryson, you think motivated beginners can do just fine with C++? C++ was the first language you really got competent with as a beginner. Really beginner grit, passion, and naivete can actually work out. You feel like you came away with better technical chops for putting in all that effort? Yeah, I think it depends on what they're a beginner of. If they're a beginner game dev, but they're an experienced programmer, I'd say go for it. If they came to programming by way of game development, I think that's just overkill. Like, like if you're interested in programming, sure. But if your main motivation is to like learn how to make a game, I feel like it's like that's like going way too far off the deep end. But yeah, I'm sure it's like not, you know, bad. Like, people yell at me all the time that I'm working on tools too much and I should just be working on gameplay. I think it depends on what you want to do. What if I try to put a door up here? Curious. That shouldn't have happened, for one thing. Fascinating. That shouldn't have allowed... That should not have gone through. Oh. What is happening here? Well, this is wrong for sure. What did I do? Oh, I'm an idiot. Using the wrong... Nanigans, absolutely. Depends what exactly your goals are. If you enjoy low-level system programming and you want to dig deeper into that, or you're planning on working with a bigger game company, good path. Yeah, for sure. You're playing around with Odin right now, and you're finding it a good balance of low level without getting too far into making me want to pull your hair out. That's where I would go. If I was like, I want to do low level game dev stuff, I would look at Odin or Jai or something like that. I'd be very curious to try that stuff out. Sydney Just, welcome to the channel. As a engine programmer who started out learning how to program to make games, games are a terrible starter project anyways. That's a good point. And there's so much domain experience you have to acquire along the way. Yeah, I didn't think about that. That's a really good point. Ryson, yes, it is rough when you're just starting out and you just have to slog through writing a bunch of programs that only write out to the console. That's the worst. The worst thing about programming when you're working on something like that is when you don't have a mechanism for getting feedback for what you're doing, like visual feedback. I think for a lot of people that's really hard to get past. That's for me. I need visual feedback on what I'm doing, and I need it immediately. Sydney, for sure, you really need to stick with it. There's a lot of attrition along the way. If you're not motivated enough, you'll just drop off. That's the thing to me though, is if I can't see a result of something soon, and soon could be a variable, right? Soon could be like 2 hours, or it could be like 2 weeks. I think if it's 2 months, you're in trouble. But yeah, everyone has a different tolerance, I think. Theron, you'd rather just not make games. You'd rather just not make games than worry about manually handling memory addresses or whatever. I mean, you've looked at C++ and assembly for like 30 minutes total. Yeah. Yeah, I think it depends on where you're coming from and where you're trying to go, for sure. Like, I should have written my ECS in C++. That would have been like the straightforward, like probably optimal way to do it. And then we could have done all the gameplay code stuff outside of that, like just in GDScript. But that was just too much for me. That would have been too much. I would have had to learn too much. I would have spent 6 months learning how to do that instead of spending 6 weeks writing it in C sharp. Um, okay, so now I really want to check some of these. So the Z thing was definitely wrong and is probably causing us some grief, but I don't think that that's the answer to our problem that we were seeing. So we're trying to place doors, and the tiles are not coming down correctly. So, oh, I think I know what the thing is. I don't think there's a tile layer. I don't think there's a door layer. Oh, that's so stupid. I don't know why this is happening, though. This is perplexing and is pointing to a different problem to me. There's something wrong where the deck is, oh, maybe not the deck, maybe the wall. The door is being misentered into the bulk tile somehow because there's this erroneous Z tile that's being drawn in here where the door should be. But yeah, I've thought of another problem. That's definitely a problem, which is that I don't think I actually set up uh, a door layer. I did not. Oopsies. Uh, Ron Keen, on that note, you definitely don't consider yourself a programmer. You've been working on Godot projects for 2 years. You still have trouble conceptualizing abstractions. It's pretty awful. So your opinion probably is way less relevant. I think that's reasonable because like you might not call yourself a capital P programmer, but like you're doing the programming. Everyone has a different pain tolerance response. Yeah, for sure. Nanigans, you dabbling in game dev was one of the things that got you into programming ages ago. Doesn't take much to create something simple like Pong, then you can expand your knowledge from there. It's cool to create something that you could then play and share and tinkering around and break things. It's true, you feel like most people have zero awareness of scope. That's very true. At least back when you started, it was all, I want to make WoW but better, or GTA, yeah. And not GTA 1. They want to make like GTA 3, right? I think you could make GTA 1 nowadays pretty easily. Uh, like the top-down 2D GTA. Sydney, don't get you wrong, you can learn a lot while never finishing your project. That's me. I've failed. I've failed to make so many projects, and I've learned so much. It's very demotivating. If the dopamine hook got you good, you'll transfer that to the next project with better scope. Yeah, I've definitely rescoped and re-prototyped this. Not re-prototype. I mean, I've definitely completely changed the system, the modeling of this game. This game has gone through some insane rescopes and rewrites over the years. This is just the version that we've been working on the last year is just the latest iteration of this idea, right? That's had many external manifestations, most of which have, not amounted to anything. I was not into programming when I started doing games. I never enjoyed math. I never enjoyed any of this stuff. All right, we're going to copy in a layer. What is this scene? Bulk layer. Oh, these are actually stored somewhere. Ship layer. Okay, so we want to inherit. We want to create something that inherits. Oh, what the F? Not sure why we do this inheritance thing. I feel like this is a holdover, but we're going to do it. So we're going to make a... Actually, I probably have a door layer, don't I? Let's show this to me in door layer, floor layer, wall layer. So I have a bulk layer and a deck layer. Okay, so I have a door layer here. Open this scene up. We're going to detach the script, save this, and we're going to throw this in here, door layer. All right, so now we at least have a door layer. Your ordering is 2, your Y relative, or Y sorting, and Z relative. Okay, so now we at least have a layer to be putting... Crash. What's going on here? Out of bounds index, get index 30. Oh, I need to change something. I need to change the packing data, the tile packing stuff, because we've added a layer. IRRC slim. Oh, IARRC sim. That is a name. IARC sim. I'm gonna say that. How fast is the Godot scripting language to execute compared to compile C++ or JavaScript and V8 engine? Those feel like two very different ends of the spectrum. C++ or JavaScript and V8 engine. Sydney, you say C# is reasonably fast compared to JS, but not as fast as C++ can be. But it can be faster than bad C++. Kind of depends on what you were trying to achieve. Yeah, so the way Godot is Godot is all C++ under the hood, right? You can script, the game script is GD script. So Ryson, you're saying GD script isn't going to outperform a compiled language for sure. GScript doesn't have JIT compilation like JSV8 does. Yeah, so GDScript has, I would say GDScript has different performance characteristics. So GDScript, so C# is like managed, right? And if you're just doing C# programming, if you're just doing C# scripting, like you're not talking to the Godot engine, you're just like doing raw scripting. People have performance profiled it, and it's 2 or 3 times faster than just GDScript doing the same thing. We're talking about just like simulating stuff, just like crunching data and just like doing random things. The difference is if you're calling into the Godot API a lot, because the Godot API is pretty fast because it's all, C++ and under the hood. GDScript's a lot faster at that because it doesn't pay marshalling costs like C# does. So I think it depends, and it really depends on what your overhead is that you estimate. Like if you're making a game that's not very simulation heavy, so the scripting is mostly just like coordinating stuff in the Godot API, like just, that calling mainly into the underlying engine and doing stuff. I don't think performance is a factor, really. But what we're doing is like has a pretty heavy simulation aspect to it, which is why I put it in C#. So when we're doing the raw simulation stuff, we get a little more speed, a 2 or 3x. I've heard maybe up to 4x speed up. Still probably not as good as if I just wrote it all in C++, but you think they're working on JIT compiling or planning to soon for GDScript? Oh, that'd be cool. JIT. All right, so our problem right now is we have layers times level, so we're packing the data. So this is the initial header is layers times levels. Layers is, right now, layers is defined as 6. It needs to be 7. I also need to define those somewhere else. All right, so the count is still 12 because that's just the amount of data per. So that these magic numbers don't change. This should be a const as well. This should be like tile size or something like that. Like tile size in bytes. And this is the header. How often are we adding the header? Once per layer. Okay. Yeah, let's make some consts for that. This is tile layer header size in bytes 2. This is way too long. Whatever. I thought about it. I thought about doing the right thing, and then I explicitly didn't do it. Thanks, that clears it up quite well. Okay, cool. I thought I was just rambling. Everyone, thank you, everyone in the chat for answering as well. Y'all are more informed, more broadly informed programmers than I am. Sydney, you work on a very simulation-heavy game with a plugin architecture. There are a ton of third-party people who use non-JITted Lua to simulate super complex systems. You really can get away with a lot on modern hardware, although it absolutely kills you to see the inefficiencies. Yeah. But yeah, just chuck more IPC at the problem until it goes away. There's always more money you can throw at Intel or AMD. Yeah, for sure. I think games. I think there's so many games that just do all of their scripting in Lua that like are pretty intense games, and the games are so accessible and moddable and all these great things. And like, yeah. It definitely is dangerous and very easy to get caught up in performance problems before they've manifested. Obviously, there's like a question of architectural performance. Like you can imagine, you can look at your architecture and like you should try to identify some like where's the ceiling, like where's the threshold at which we're probably going to run into some issues, and like design around that. Which is kind of why we picked what we picked early on. Make the performance ceiling a little higher. We actually need to do some threading. We need to do some task threading for these systems, because right now we're running everything on the main thread. And I wanted to do some things to expand the size of the ships, and I realized that we're going to need to do some thread to make that possible. Because yeah, there's plenty of performance, but if you're stuck on the main thread, you've got some problems. Yeah, there's a optimization ensuring you build things with the performant architecture in place. Yeah, that's the way of putting it. Preoccupied with performance can be a bit misguided. Yeah, 100%. GDScript performs well enough for a lot of games. Yeah, we probably would have been fine for this game, honestly. Part of it is an architectural choice. Ryzen can do for you many options you can use to address it. Yeah. 9 times out of 10, you can address performance bottlenecks by changing your GDScript. Yeah. I wanted to get away from the node structure for our simulations. Just part of the reason why I broke this off into its own little C# world. Sydney, for sure, don't solve problems you don't already have. Half of the time, I'm just picking a slightly better data structure that plays nicer with the caches. Yeah, that's why we went with the ECS. Not because it's like optimized now, it's because it's optimizable later. Like it's going to be a lot easier for us to make optimizations later in our system and our data structures. Ryson, if you need more than that, you can do it is doing by shifting things over to C# or C++. Yeah, I think it would have been cool. I think it would have been cool to do the ECS and C++, but then I still wouldn't have been able to get away from everything being node-based, because I still like the systems model. And yeah, I can do things like have a node per manager or something like that, but like, I don't know. I just wanted to do it this way. I don't claim some great performance advantage to doing so. Part of it's for me, composability. I like composability. And yeah, there's nothing preventing you from composing with nodes. But I also wanted the system stuff too. I wanted to run. I wanted everything to be kind of manager or system based over like using like an update or a component pattern. Hey, Nojul. How's it going?
Maximum warp.
Maximum warp. I need to add some more of those. I want to add some more sound bites. I also need to put them on my Stream Deck. I have a Stream Deck and I don't use it, and I need to just turn it into like a silly radio board, like a radio sound effect board. So yeah, I did something. We just changed the number of layers, so hopefully we don't crash. Okay, we don't crash. If we try to place a door, will it let us? No. So it's doing something weird. If you see here, it's trying to erase the floor and it's placing the tile here. So that points to a couple of things being wrong. One is we're not merging blocks correctly. It's like replacing the floor with something with like this invisible door. At least it's being treated as a wall for the purpose of the... So if we try to erase it, it just erases the block, which is correct. The erase logic is correct, and it's turning this into an outer layer, which is also correct. Interesting. Interesting. We're not getting any errors. Oh, I'm having some... Apparently the stream is having some quality issues. My bitrate is telling me excellent on the YouTube side, but hopefully it's getting better. Sydney, what kind of stuff are you working on? You seem being very experienced. You did say you work on a very heavy game with a plugin architecture. You don't need to tell me which one. I'm just curious. I'm just curious to hear more. If you're busy, can't chat, don't worry about it. We do have to hunt down here. So I want to go back to figure out why the merge is maybe not working correctly. So if the incoming block is a door, let's double check that we're actually... Let's double check that we're actually telling the game what we're trying to place correctly. I guess we'll just do some printing. I want to make sure. So let's just very quickly debug the active block tool here. We're just going to start from the top and work our way down and figure out where this issue is. So we select this. Block, form, door, face 0, part -1. That is correct. Okay, so we are selecting the correct block. So then the problem is down here somewhere. The only part of this that considers debug.writeLine. I just want to see what we get back from this when we try to merge blocks. So we are getting a door unequivocally. I need to address the weird floor erasure thing that's happening, which shouldn't happen here. So if we aren't dealing with a bulk or a door, we should be generating a new block as a mix of the existing form and the incoming form. The existing form should have a floor in it. So I don't understand why the floor is being erased when we place a door. It doesn't make will, but by the end of this, Sydney, Jess, you work on X-Plane, the less cool flight sim not made by Microsoft. You're mostly working on the low-level engine bits and maintain the graphics engine. That sounds awesome. X-Plane. X-Plane 11 or X-Plane sounds like it's X-Plane, just X-Plane. X-Plane 12. A flight simulator built by pilots for everyone. At the risk of just destroying my stream even further, we're gonna try to watch this. This looks incredible. Wow. Oh man, those interiors are probably all simulated. There's probably such satisfying little switches to flip and stuff. I love that. I can't wait for PVKK, which is like a upcoming Godot game that's like all about like working the inside of like a command and control center for like a planetary gun. And I'm like, I can't wait to just start twisting the dials and flipping the switches and stuff. This looks amazing. You do the low level engine bits and the graphics engine. You're responsible for just how good this looks. It looks good. Oh man, look at all this stuff on like the wind. Look at these wind visualizations. Oh, look at that VR stuff. This game must be insane to try to get working right in VR. Because I haven't seen a VR game that like has this fidelity, this level of fidelity. Those volumetric clouds look good. This is amazing. Oh, there's like ground conditions like water and ice. Your claim to fame here is that you wrote the water and vegetation system for 12, which is what we're watching. Sweet. The water looks really good. I haven't seen a lot of vegetation, but that's not really what I've been looking for. Oh, it's over there. It looks good. That's a lot of instanced rendering, I bet. Just the sheer amount of like trees and stuff. Yeah, that's doing the LODs for this must be insane. 17,000 handmade 3D airports. It's probably some of the plugin stuff you're talking about, just how like you don't make it look good. That's the art people's job. You just move the bits between the CPU and the GPU. Yeah, so you're responsible for getting the like instance rendering and everything like good. Oh, look at this. We're live with episode 137. YouTube's like, "Do you want to watch your own video? You're live right now." That's really cool. I tried messing around with low-level rendering and stuff for like a voxel game I wanted to make, which was actually like a previous incarnation of this game. And yeah, that was intense. I was doing it in Unity. I eventually like kind of gave up on it because there were some annoying constraints that they had on not being able to predict when the buffer would be safe to to swap, and some other stuff that annoyed me that they did as a company. So I wonder where the problem is We could try checking to see what data is getting passed to the... Let's start with that. So let's go to the block volume. Let's say if so let's say if index is 6, let's print grandchild dot tile map data. Oh, well, this is definitely a problem. We're not sending any tile map data. So the thing that we're seeing on the top here is erroneous. We're printing these, we're rendering this as like a bulk Z, as a wall Z tile rather than a door tile, and we're not sending any tiles to the door. So I've got some index mixing up going on here. Okay. Did I get the right index? Is 6 the correct index for this? Block volume, block area, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, that's the correct layer. There shouldn't be any differences between these. So yeah, we're incorrectly assigning the doors, I think, in a weird way. Let's go up to the top of the tile system. We're fairly convinced that we're assigning the tile block correctly. So there's some problem, there's probably more than one problem in the tile system for us. Unity is great until you're about halfway into your project and really need some slight tweaks to what the engine does. Suddenly you realize there's no API for what you require. Yeah. Yes. And then you are stuck with terrible workarounds and just fighting the engine itself. That's what I did, because it was like, oh, do instance indirect rendering, they said. Manage the compute buffer, manage the buffers yourself, they said. And then you find out that Unity actually doesn't want you to do that and makes it basically impossible. Godot, if push comes to shove, you can at least fork it and make the changes your project needs. Yeah, there's no excuse, right? If you get in a fight with a low-level implementation of Godot, you just the working around it is at least doable. You can either like engage with the rendering server directly, or you can just literally rewrite the implementation of the source code. It's kind of amazing. You love to see it. All right, so we have each of our layers separate. So we have So let's just go through this and try to make sense of this. So areas less than levels, yeah. And then so we've unrolled. So instead of having a loop for layers, so area is the equivalent of level. It's like that's the distinct 2D layer, the 2D level of the 3D volume. I'm trying to use volume and area when referring to like the block space of a ship, or whatever, a base, an asteroid, whatever it is. And then instead of doing a for loop of all the layers, we've actually unrolled it, so we go through each layer separately. Because we were doing some kind of questionable things before. We're doing it manually. Because we tried handling all layers the same and like branching off within that, and it was becoming a nightmare, so I just unrolled it and separated the logic out. So we go through each of these. So am I assigning the wrong hull layer? 3, 4, 5. Is this 5 down here? Oh my god, I am. Okay. Oops, that explains why we were rendering a Z tile. Okay, so that was one of our problems. All right, we got an ad break on the Twitch side. So if you come back in 3 minutes and we solve the bug, that's what happened. I'm an idiot. It's kind of just the standing order as far as what's wrong. All right, so now an improvement is that we, you know, aren't rendering that erroneous face. Problem, we aren't rendering anything. And we can deal with that, I think. I'm still very confused about this block merge issue that's deleting the floor here. Something very perplexing going on there. We're still not sending any tile data to... we're not sending any tile data at all. So there's at least 2 problems there. One is what's happening with the floor. And one is what's happening with... the tile map. Tile map is not getting its data. Are we potentially culling the hull key? No. No way. Could be some weird stuff going on here, I guess. Something going on here. And what it is, it ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a bug over there telling me I've got to beware. Everybody stop. Hmm. Deck Z. Maybe there's a Deck Z problem here. Up, down. No, you don't check above and below you. You only check that in terms of hull stuff. I don't understand what's going on with that. With why the deck below the door is disappearing. I like genuinely don't understand that. So we're setting all this tile data here, like Atlas Coords, alt tile, source ID. Maybe we're reaching an invalid form and not assigning anything. What if I discount that? What if I ignore the validity of the door and try to just render anything? Crash. Okay, we got somewhere. Where are we? Value was either too large or too small for a uint16. Okay, okay. So that means we're plugging in a negative number. to the source ID. Cool. We're doing that here. Okay. Okay. I think we're getting closer to why we're not getting any tile data. So the consequence of that was basically removing this. We're basically never setting... Oh. Never mind, we can't do that. That was actually a correct check. So I guess, I mean, we're still suspicious that we have all these invalid doors or something. But that, we actually can't go about it that way. What about this? Counts, try get value, key.zw, out int count, count plus 1, 1, no. Layer data. None of this stuff is layer specific. This stuff is. I wonder if the game is doing anything. Game. Tiles. Unpack the tile data. I'm going to double check that the block volume knows how to do this correctly. Unpack the tile map data. No, it just reads the header and it unpacks based on the header. So as long as there's a door layer here, which there is, this part should be correct. Are we sure we're still not passing any layer data? That's true, we aren't. We're gonna figure this out. Again, I thought this would be easy because we basically copied over our old implementation of the doors into a new environment, but obviously nothing goes easy. But as Ian Anderson said, nothing is easy. And it feels very true in game development. I want to see this door data that's coming in, and I want to see the tile data that's going out. I see the door data coming in and the tile data going out. And let's turn off the tile map layer print for a moment, so we're not clogging the debug. Interesting how it considers this a block, but it just doesn't, it totally ruins the rendering. So the tile at 7.7. Why are we printing this out every time? Because of hovering? So I'm getting a bunch of tile information. I'm getting no door tile information. Where's my door tile information? That's peculiar. Source ID is 4. Oh, this is for everything. I'm overwhelming the system. I want to say if tile, I want to say if tiles key dot layer evaluates to tile dot layers dot door, then I want to do the debug right line. We're like debugging every single tile, which is too many tiles. Tile, axes, null, division, hole, form, invalid. Okay, so we are tile, axes, x, division, hole, form, invalid. Okay, so we are getting stuck with invalid tiles for some reason. Interesting. And we're never getting here. And we're never getting into this case either, which is very interesting. Even though I'm trying to debug it before. So we're never reaching this point. Did I not add the tile layer? No, door is 6. That's correct. There are no debugger supports to step through this. No, there is. There is. I'm just lazy. And you'd think if I was lazy, I would be using the debugger. So, I mean, we already know the answer to this, but we could also do a block on here or break on here. IArcSim, yeah. All right, so let's create a door. Let's try to understand why this is. All right, so we are getting here. So our door tile is coming in invalid. It's our only door and it's coming in invalid. So yeah, our issue is that there's an invalid door being fed in, which we already knew, but that was certainly an easier way to find that out. If my workflows improve, it's only because chat shames me into doing so. So why are all of our doors being marked invalid? Let's do a break here and figure that out. We really need to do composition, like block volume serialization next. So I can just load levels and not have to remake these test levels every single time. All right, let's look at it. I'm sure this is really hard to read for anyone. All this gray data stuff. So, all right. So our relative position. (14.8.1). That's correct. So let's try to figure out when we become invalid. So we're initialized invalid. I'm pretty sure we're assigning these. So neg x block 0000 dec. So what are we're looking for our y neighbors. So let's look down here. So oh, I think I know where the problem is. Form 0. Yeah. Oh, wait. You're both? No, you're valid. I'm a fool. We don't want to check our positive z neighbor. We do not want to do that. All we want to do is make sure that our own block... Oops. Oops, I know exactly what I did. So let's get rid of this positive z check. We don't need to check the block below us. Instead, what we want to do... Shame. Yeah, shame. Thanks, Ryson. We were erroneously checking the block beneath us when we just wanted to check our own floor. I get that wrong sometimes. Because if we check the floor plate above us, we need to go up one block, right? Technically down, but we need to go above us one block to do that. But if we want to check the floor beneath us, that's actually in the same block as us. Each block is like the floor that's there and potentially the bulk, which is like a wall or a door or something that takes up all the space. I just call that a bulk. Kind of like bulkhead or something like that. It's not the best terminology. So we just want to check our own form. How would we get that? Read-only span I. Well, we don't want to check to see if there's... We want to make sure... We want to see if dot has... Block buffer dot get coords I. I just want to check if we don't have this. So if we don't have a floor beneath us, then we're invalid. So if the floor above us doesn't have, if the floor above us doesn't have, we actually want to see, we want to say if the floor above us doesn't have a floor, or if you know what I mean, the block above us doesn't have a floor, then we're invalid. And if we don't have a floor below us, or if the block above us doesn't have a floor, we're invalid. If our own block doesn't have a floor, we're invalid. If our axes are XY, meaning we don't have walls on one side of us or other doors. If we're just like in the middle of nowhere, we're also invalid. So we were doing something wrong. So let's see what happens now. Something. I'm hoping the answer is something. We should run into a new issue now, at least. Okay, we still can't see anything. All right, time to put the breakpoint back. See what's happening. All right. Make our little room. Put our little door. Axes, null, division, hole, form, invalid. Why? There's something else going wrong now. This is not how this should go. Fourteen, 10, 1. You're a deck. You're empty. You're a floor and a wall. You're a floor and a wall. Okay, so why? So why are we having a problem here? Both. Okay. Oh, it doesn't equal. Ah, there's another difference between. Oops. I'm not isolating the check. I might have been doing a bit of a bitwise oopsie here. All right, this will give us something else. This should give us a different result. Love that. Love that little scroll. All right, what's our door? Okay, it's still saying it's invalid. Let's figure out where that's happening. Here, it should be axes x division whole form invalid. Are we getting to the end and becoming invalid? No, we're staying invalid. Okay, so what's the result of this check? Does this evaluate to true? Okay. Okay, so this is a single door, so we're getting into this. Form equals door.form.single. A little confused by how the debugger works. Why does this just say variable hull equals hull.middle? Why is this just here? Oh, because I'm then setting it to this. So we're ultimately assigning an invalid door still, and I don't know why. So door tile.axes should not equal, maybe one of these is turning out to be true. False, 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 false. Okay. These are all evaluating to false. This is true. This is false, 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 false. So this one's true. No, this one's false. This one's true. So our door tile should become the door tile with axes. So the axes shouldn't change. Oh, it's door tile.axes or axes.x. Yeah, that's correct. And a form of door form.single. So we're like not doing that. So why? I'm gonna put the break here. I'm not sure if the debugger is telling me the like state of the struct when it's assigned that value, or if it's only telling me like the state of the struct when it hits the final breakpoint. So we're gonna just move the breakpoint up so I can understand what's going on here. All right, so when we get to here, what if we step over this? So what's it now? X. Okay, so here the door tile is axes X, division whole, form single. That is correct. And this should evaluate. So step over this. Okay. This shouldn't be getting invalidated, right? Block.has returned true. That's fine. Block.has returned false. Oh, this one returned false. Oh, so I think we're dealing with compound issues. I think there is an issue with the merge, with the tile merge, which is why we're seeing the floor underneath the door go away. That's the only reason this would evaluate to false. So our negative Z block is a deck. Our own block. Ah, okay. So I think we've addressed the auto tiling bug, and now we have the block tool bug. We have to understand why the block coming out of here. So we need a breakpoint here. Or we actually just need to figure out what's being returned here. Oh, I guess we could just do a breakpoint. That should work, right? Oh, did I get rid of the other breakpoint? I don't remember. Cube Zero, is that a different program for modeling the tile graphics? Never seen that before in Godot. Do you mean this screen right here? Cube Zero? Welcome in, by the way. Oh, let's actually finish this whole thing. The answer is no. This is not anything. Well, this is in Godot, but this is custom. So what we're working on right now, and something that I've developed myself, is a custom isometric, well, sort of isometric. It's a custom auto tiler. So this is a custom auto tiler that's handling about 7 different layers. It's actually 7 times 6. No, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it's like 30, 40 tile map layers. 35, right? That's 7 times 5. And the result is this like insane auto tiler that handles all the stuff for us. Because this is all being done with tile map layers in 4.3. It's handling this visibility cutaway system as well. You see that it's now that it's a part of the program, so like custom tool. Yeah, it's actually running in game though, so it's not like an editor script. That's actually within the game, rather than being within the editor. Obviously, we're still like in debug mode, but that's a tool within the game. I'm trying to write all the tools for this game to run in game, to make like user generated content and modding a lot easier. All right, so what is the result of this check? So the existing block is a form of both. Oh. If existing has any of these, I see what's happening. I see what's happening. We need a slightly more complex thing. Because the block that we're replacing has a wall in it, we're rewriting the block. We're not leaving the floor deck. So there is a merge tool issue here. So we need to say so incoming. So we're actually going to make a new block, and it's going to be existing.form and block.forms.deck or incoming.form. So we want to include the deck. It should be really existing.form or no, not or. I don't know. We need a little something. We need this to be more complicated in the future, but right now this should be sufficient. Right, makes sense. That's cool. Yeah, thank you. We're heading in the direction, ideally, of doing this kind of 3D isometric FTL-like, like faster than light. So we're doing kind of this 3D version. And to do it, rather than making a 3D game, we're making this like crazy 2D tile mapped out abomination. That's kind of what we're doing. All right, moment of truth. I think we're in good shape. Where am I writing this? We're debugging a tremendous amount of something. Down here. Yeah, let's not do that anymore. All right. Okay, I think we addressed the merge issue. The block merge issue. At least for now. I did not get rid of the other. All right, now we're passing through a valid tile. Axes X, division whole, form single. Sweet. And then if we go here, what are we passing in? A hull, an outer hull? Is that right? Yeah, that's right. All right, let's get rid of these breakpoints and do this for real. Where's this other one? There it is. All right, moment of truth. What's gonna happen this time? All right, there's a door. It's facing the wrong way, and it's nowhere near the correct position, but why is that happening? And also, we're not rendering one on this side. So, what is going on? Also, it seems to be failing when we try to do a double door. Okay, we're getting somewhere. Where we're getting is not correct, but it's somewhere. So why do I not see it at all over here? A little strange. Oh, wait. I almost saw it for a second. Ooh, okay, so on this side, the single door works, but the double door is invisible. On this side, the double door works, but the single door is invisible. In there, this one's facing the right way, but I feel like that's not on purpose. Interesting. All right, so we have a weird offset problem. The hull typing is also wrong. This should not be light gray. This should be dark gray or mid-tone gray. All right, new problems. Cube 0, this is something you've wanted to do. 2.5D isometric style in Godot. Just adds a lot more interesting problems to solve rather than going with a more standard perspective. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's cool. 2.5D is cool, especially if it's like, even if it's just 2.5D in terms of like aesthetics. Like Hillfort Games is working on a really cool zombie game that's using like 2.5D pixel art. It's really awesome. It's like characters are pixel art sprites, and then the environment is like block bench 3D stuff that's like at the same texel size, so it's like it meshes really well with the pixel art. Like there's some really cool stuff you can do with 2.5D. Sydney, but why has got to be the universal question asked by toddlers and game developers at astonishing rates. Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like if you're really engaging with the world around you, it's a question you should be asking all the time. All right, so our current problem is why are we wildly offset? Is it possible that the area is being set up incorrectly? I don't think that's true. I don't think it's that. Is it possible that the tile set is weirdly, has like a weird offset? It's possible. So if we look here, where are your texture origin at? Like seriously, where is your texture origin at? Why is your texture origin the same? I guess that's the correct texture origin, just plus 12. So dead center, it's around here somewhere. It's actually probably just right down here and we can't see it. So that feels right. Like what's a wall? A wall's texture origin is 10 minus 8. But that's correct because it's on one side, whereas the door is in the middle. Okay, so I don't think it's that. Maybe it is rendering to the wrong area. I guess that's possible. There should be a relatively easy check for that. Oh, this is invalid. I need to redo this. One level lower. So if I press this and I go past here, no. So this is considered on the same layer. How is it all the way down there? That is so strange. I've never seen that. Never seen anything approaching that. Is your relative position being like changed somehow? Not likely. Merge block, span index, index, get index, coords and bounds. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything that would like change the position of just the door. Like if we're running into that problem, we should be running into that problem everywhere. Not with just the door. That's very perplexing. It's probably no, it's not an atlas chord. It's a position thing down here. Okay, so somewhere in here, so tile is new key. Key is based on the hull keys. this value, this key value, is defining doors key. Okay, so we're finding the right door. So the XY position in the tile map is set by that key, the XY coordinates of the key here. So we're asking if this contains, this is a relative coordinate already. Holes.try get value. What are we trying to read here? We're trying to read the block buffer. Um, no, this is right. It is key.xyz if I'm reading the block buffer. Because the block buffer doesn't know about layers. So how is it possible tiles key with tile here. Counts key.zw, no. Hmm. If not put y, then what? Yeah. That's like, what's even happening? Yeah, I'm at the what's even happening statement, not the the phase. You're right. So we seem to be writing to the wrong tile map layer. I guess we can evaluate whether that's true or not pretty easily here. I want to print for child and get children. We want to say oh yeah, we want to say if index is 6, so we want to see this. So there should be a door here. No, if index equals 12, 13, 13. Unlucky layer 13. Because yeah, the tile map data we're interested in should be in the door layer of the second area. And if it's not there, then we are concerned. It's there. It's saying it's at position 14, 8. It's got a source ID of 12. It's got an atlas coord of 0, 0. It's got an alternative tile ID of 1. Am I reading this correctly? Yeah, I am reading this correctly. So this is in the correct layer. It is ostensibly, it's close to the correct XY position. Kind of want to try that again and count here. So if I try to place one here, it should be at 1. No, it should be at 14.1. If I put one here. What? Oh, I probably didn't do that right. We can make a simpler test. So we can do this. We can go down. We can do this and this and this. So this is like the minimum necessary test here. We put a door in here. Put a door here. Now what is it saying? 1 by 12? Why 12? That doesn't sound right. It shouldn't be 12. It should be... So this coordinate, this is 14 by 1. So there is a positional thing happening, but that doesn't really account for what we're seeing. Because 1 by 12 would be over here. Is that not what we got? Oh no, 14 by 1. So position for, oh, I'm misreading this. We are getting the right position. So it's spawning in at the correct X, Y position. Should be spawning down here, actually. This is 14Y. Okay, so the XY position's correct. The alternative tile is wrong, so we can fix that. Sydney. Yep, another classic is this makes no sense. I'm going to become a carpenter. Followed by, oh my god, I'm so stupid. Yeah. My favorite is, this is my personal favorite, is this is working and I don't know why. That's the best one. You're like, my code is working and it shouldn't be. Actually, that one's even better. When you definitively know that you broke something and that what you're seeing shouldn't be happening, but it's happening anyway. That's the best. That's the best one. When it's like it's working, but it shouldn't be. All right. I need to wrap up soon in like the next like 15 minutes, but I really want to hunt this bug down. I think we're close. So our alt tile stuff is wrong. So let's address that. So the alt tile ID thing is if door tile.axes.x. Oh, yeah. Should be 0 then 0 else 1. That's my bad. But that doesn't address the weird positioning of everything. It also doesn't address the fact why double doors... I feel like if I understood why the double doors were invisible on the x-axis and the singles doors were invisible on the y-axis, I'd have a better understanding of why this is happening. But at the moment, that just seems so random that I'm like, I don't understand what's going on. So it's not even rendering correctly for the next layer down. Like, even if this was the next layer down, this would be very wrong. Like it'd be one thing if it was obviously the next layer down. At least it's facing the right way. And it's invisible. This is interesting. It's over. This one's even more interesting because this one's off in a very peculiar way. Are they off in the same to the same extent? Kind of, not really. Like how is this possible if the XY values that we're sending to the tilemap layer are correct? That's what I want to know. Because this shouldn't be possible in that case. Obviously, I have an assumption that's incorrect somewhere, and that's debugging is just finding your finding the location of your incorrect assumption. I feel like there's a hint here somewhere with this like weird door invisibility issue. Oh, there's some fun. Oh, are we sending bad data at times? 9-0. We're sending some bad data over. Not like all the time. Actually, this might just be the -1, -1, -1. This actually might be okay. It also might not be okay. We might be sending bad data over. How is that? Why would that be happening is a good question. Diginanigans, you think you're going to head out now? You need a break from the computer. Should probably shovel out your driveway before the sun starts to go down. Yeah, no worries. Take it easy out there. Sydney, you should probably go back to work as well. It's fun, though. Best of luck on your project. Thank you, Sydney. Thanks for hanging out. We do this Tuesday through Saturday around this time. So yeah, please come again. And have a great rest of your day, guys. So how could we be sending bad data out? I feel like that still doesn't account for the positioning error. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna snooze the ads because I can't keep going here for more than a few more minutes. So we might need to pick this up tomorrow, or I just try to debug it tonight. This is maybe one of those bugs that you just need to walk away from for a minute, and then you come back to it, and it's just solved. In your head, at least. It just becomes obvious where the problem is. IArcSim, can you create unit tests in Godot? If you get into a confusing situation in a non-game project, you often write unit tests to confirm your assumptions for now. Keep those assumptions more clear later. You certainly can. I don't, because I find unit tests aren't a good example of like the live data that you're actually dealing with in a game, because so many different systems tend to touch the data. But if I was better at it, I probably could manage it. So is there something we're doing in these other cases that we're not doing here? Probably is. You know, we're probably going to eventually change doors to be complementary to bulks and decks so that you can have a bulk door or a deck door. Like a deck door would be like a door in the floor that like blocks off like ladders and stuff. And or a deck door would be that, and a bulk door would be like a door that's like the regular doors we're dealing with that like form a wall. That could be cool. That would make some of this easier as far as like dealing with the different combinations of walls and floors and doors, but that doesn't address our current problem. I want to scrutinize. I want to say if tiles dot layer tiles key. Actually, we could just say if key dot w is equal to 6 debug dot write line tiles key. I want to see exactly what we're putting in here. Make the minimum necessary test case. All right. What's this data we're sending over? So we've got a tile at position 14.1 in area 1. That is correct. It's a door. It's a source ID 12. It's an Atlas cord 00. It's an alternative tile 0. This is all correct. And then the tile map layer is getting 14.1, 12, 0, 0, 0. Okay. Okie doke. There has to be a problem. I must be wrong about the tile set being correct. The tile set must be wrong. Like, if the tile map is getting this data and it's the correct coordinate, then there must be something wrong with this tile itself. Let's just change this tile to have a very different texture origin. Let's start at 0. So your texture origin should be like here. Oh, geez, that is correct. Oh my god, is your layer in the wrong spot? I think the whole layer is in the wrong spot. I made a new layer and I don't think I positioned it correctly. Oh my god. Minus 16, minus 60. Why isn't that the default for this scene? Because I guess that doesn't make sense to do. No, your default is minus 16, minus 60. Okay, that does make sense to do. I even looked for this. I like looked at this on the block area. I was like, what are the values? Because you can usually see if a value is different than the default. And I didn't see any. The whole layer was shifted down and to the right. Dodoy. This is why I don't like editors. I don't like doing things in editors. Because I always miss some export variable or something, or some setup detail. I much prefer to configure things in code. There we go. Still not quite sure about this. I think there is a problem. There's some kind of problem. You know, I think I might widen the doors to take up the whole block because I kind of don't like this inset. Like in a certain way, the inset is cool, but in a certain way, it makes it kind of hard to see. Maybe I do keep the inset. Like the fact that the door is set back from the edge. Although the floor here is wrong. Yeah, there's some other stuff going on. But we're going to figure those out tomorrow. At least we got the doors spawning in the correct position. And we can place both a single door and a double door just by... What? That shouldn't be doing that. Okay. We have some bugs. We have some bugs to figure out tomorrow. But we got through that one. We got through the one we were hunting. So that's good. I think we might be passing some bad data in. Maybe not. Actually, all of this data looks correct. As far as like, nope, here's something wrong. Yeah, there's something we're sending in wrong here. Anytime you have a big group of 255s like that, that should be concerning. Oh well. I think this was a great day so far, overall. What about the triple door? We'll get that. Ryson, you like the inset? Yeah, I think I do too. I think it adds a lot of variety. I think it adds some variety at least. But yeah, I think that's going to be it for today. I think I'm going to cue the music and head on out of here. I appreciate everyone hanging out today. It was a pretty good crowd today. Nice to see all these new faces along with the, you know, you regulars. Like I said, we do this Tuesdays through Saturdays, so we'll be back tomorrow. We aren't even at the middle of our streaming week yet. So, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
Maximum warp.